So today we're going to talk about an experiment we did at Mercury, English Mercury. And first, I'm going to present myself. So I'm Antony. I'm an engineering manager at Mercury. I joined 2 years ago. And Mercury is a company where we provide in a C2C marketplace. And our mission is to create value in a global marketplace where anyone can sell and buy. So we were founded in 2013, and we have now more than 1.5 billion listings. We have office in Japan and US, and Mercury Group is composed of 3 companies, Mercury GP, Mercury US, and Merpay. And I will let JB to present himself.
Hello, my name is JB. I work as an Agile coach, and I have been working with Mercury for the past 2 years. Yamaneko is a company providing with Agile coaching, training, workshops, support with UX design, DevOps, and software design and development in Japan. We help build happy teams. This is our slogan. And what we are really trying to focus on is on the agility. We're trying to help companies to adopt Agile mindset and practices. But Agile is not the goal. We are always asking ourselves the question, why are we trying to use Agile? Why do we want to adopt Scrum? This is a question we ask ourselves whenever we are about to work with the customer. And this is a question we ask ourselves when we started working with Mercury, because Agile is not the goal. It's the way that we are going to use it to achieve our goal. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about the Agile journey in Mercury that started now about 2 to 3 years ago. And we're going to talk about a story of people who started with trying to adopt Scrum without really a clear purpose, and then evolved and changed their mindset, and then started to bring on experiments, learnings. And when the mindset and learning change, this is where the magic happens, and we start to see innovations, interesting ideas, and exciting things happening at the workplace. So we're going to start with the Agile Mercury journey, and then we are going to talk about the camp structure, which has been adopted by Mercury 1 year after we started working with Agile. And then we're going to talk about the experiment on this new framework we called FLAT, in attempt to break the team silos we had inside the camps. And then we are going to wrap up around the experiments and the learning we got around this new framework. And we've been teasing you about this FLAT thing for the past couple of months with the proposal, but okay, it was a failure. We failed. But what we got from this experiment was very interesting, and that was what we want to talk about today. So, Antony, can you tell us more about the Agile journey in Mercury?
Okay, I will set some background about our journey. And at the beginning, we were very small teams. It was 5 years ago. So we worked really in an ad hoc way where someone got an idea, people gathered and start working together to deliver it. Then the company start growing. Okay, and how can we scale when you have hundreds of employees? Problem emerge. We have different hundreds of employees. We have wanted to do a transition, migration from our monolithic architecture to a microservices architecture. We needed new management roles. Something important for Mercury is a diversity and inclusion. So this is an important value for us. We started to have people who can only speak in English, for example, me. So with all this issue, we had a conversation 2 years ago. Okay, we need more process. We need to start standardized way to work together. Why not? Okay, Agile, when it's Scrum, and is there someone who can support us to this journey? So is where Yamaneko get involved. So JB, can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, that's where we're coming. And we came around 2019 on the spring, and we got some expectations from Mercury as coaches. First one, we wanted to start with small teams. And we wanted to start with people who are highly motivated and are willing to receive coaching and start adopting Scrum. We wanted to organize trainings and workshops so that we can get a better common understanding and common knowledge around what is Scrum, what is Agile, what are the Scrum patterns, what are the practices that we want to do, what are the anti-patterns that we want to avoid. And we are also expected to be able to coach both on the team level, but also on the organization level, which is very important. And we also had the necessity to be able to coach in both English and Japanese. And while they are translator in Mercury, it's very important for us to be able to communicate directly in both English and Japanese, to be able to build up a trust relationship with everyone. And Mercury also had some sort of strategy. And this is a very high level divided in 4 stages where we start first getting to understand the basics of Agile and Scrum, then work in iterations, build up our backlog, get started with continuous improvement, use some Scrum patterns such as definition of done, focus on the why, start taking metrics, write user stories, and improve the processes and the quality of the product. If everything goes well, we reach the stage 4 where we have multiple teams who can support each other, and we should be able to start considering a scaled framework or some sort of scaled concept in the organization. So that makes a lot of sense, right? Start small, start to go with motivated people, get a little bit deeper in the topics, and spread the knowledge everywhere inside the organization. Then we had also some sort of detailed checklist. Yes, a checklist for each stages. And there's a lot of items inside, so I'm not going to list all of them. And I just made a quick summary. Stage 1, use Jira. Stage 2, show us metrics. Stage 3, be good at estimates. That sounds like a lot of command and control and not really well communicated, I'd say, detailed approach to adopt Agile. But that's okay. That's where we are. That's where we are in terms of mindset. And that was a very valuable information for us to know. The high-level strategy is here, and that's what's important for us. We know that managers can often see an Agile transformation as a peaceful, straightforward roadway where you go from stage 1 to stage 4, no problems. We know what really happens. Got a lot of things that don't go well. Got to try out things, fail, learn, try again, go here around, turn back. It's like a chaotic road. But basically, we started our Agile journey coaching in this situation. And we started with observing a first team. Then this first team say, no, we don't want to be coached. Then we started to look for another team. We open trainings, workshops, work with different people. Some team was very happy to have us helping them. So we started observing. And after a little while, observing the teams and the dynamics happening, we were able to get some more information about the situation. You heard about that a lot, I think. We have too many projects. We have too many meetings. And I think that was something very great working with Mercury at the beginning, is that people were highly enthusiastic and motivated. There was a lot of positive energy. But at the same time, the teams felt very isolated from the other teams. So it was very hard to collaborate with other teams. And so to be able to be aligned with the business side. And we observed that There was no product owner role in the teams. At the same time, there were multiple stakeholders who were saying, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. So it was very hard to know what we should focus on. And there was no dedicated Scrum Master role. And no cross-functional teams. Front-end and back-end had been separated because of the microservice migration that was a very high priority for the company. So there are problems that the team cannot do anything about. It's on the organization. It's the debt that the organization has to pay back. As coaches, we can advocate for some change, but it's going to take time. So there are things that we can do inside the team. And this is where we started. So we started doing facilitations with the events, starting mentoring the Scrum Masters, bring observations to the teams, but with feedback and coaching, and also run training and workshops so that everyone can get some good alignment in terms of knowledge and understanding. There's actually a picture of the Scrum Master journey board I built for Antony, when we got started working together. Okay, what do we need to know as a Scrum Master? What are the next things that we want to clear in order to grow in this new role? And also, we wanted to build psychological safety. One team mentioned that they were receiving a lot of requests from different stakeholders, and they couldn't say no. They didn't feel safe about saying no. So one thing that they tried is they wrote a yes later manifesto. It's about saying no, but in a polite way. We also put a lot of value in experiments and learning. And we tried to build some sort of team experiments Kanban where people were able to try things out. And it's okay if it doesn't work. We just have to figure out something else to experiment and learn from. We promoted face-to-face communication. That was before the nice COVID came out. And we run working trainings and workshops, just like in the picture, so that we ensure that over-communication is actually happening inside the team and between the teams. And so continued our Agile journey during the following 6 months. And then 2020 came out, and we got something new coming in Mercury. On the organization level, people started to figure out that they had to change something, and we got a camp structure. I'm not really sure what a camp is. Can you tell us more about that, Antony?
Let's try. Okay, camp structure, how did it start? So first, the company wanted to have more micro decisions. So less top-down, but more bottom-top. And to find better alignment between all the team, improve the communication between all the team, build a better roadmap for the product. So this is where we started to think about the camp. And we changed from an organization with layers, product, client, backend, architecture, platform, to more camp where teams are grouped by domain. So each camp has a product manager head and engineering head to have the business side and engineering side to have a better leadership and alignment. We define different domain, and each camp was a domain. And something we wanted to do is to enable cross-functional teams. So because we are camp group in the same, we have teams group in the same camp, we hope we can enable the cross-functional teams. But camp structure came with some constraint. So we have to develop and deliver many business and engineering projects in parallel with limited skill and people capabilities. So we are adapting Scrum with coaching. We remove some nodes on adopting Scrum. We succeed to become cross-functional teams, some camp. And now this issue was not really a new issue for the organization. They were there, but was not really apparent. So now, okay, so sorry. So now we are more apparent about this. And we're facing new challenge into 2020. So team inside the camps, they started to say, okay, it's hard to contribute to another team inside the same camp because it's a bit complicated to change teams. something else is we want to empower more engineers, want to be a product team. So to build up a product. And another issue was about the focus. Okay, what is the most important for the camp? How can we work on the most important things for a camp? And the last was, how can we better balance each team? Because obviously we cannot put 20 people in each team to have all the skills. So how can we do it? And now, yeah, JB, please.
Yeah, we have too many projects. That's pretty much the same thing coming around. But thanks to the camp structure, we removed a lot of noise and we removed the top of the iceberg. So we were able to see challenges that we are actually able to address now. And at the same time, we observed that some change happened in people's mindset. Leadership was really committed to support empowering engineers, empowering people in the camp. And that was a very important turning point for the Agile journey. The leadership was willing to delegate and empower people. And people were willing to be empowered and make on decisions that will be very important for the product, for their team, for the company. So at this point, we were like, okay, that's a situation where we can probably go off-road and challenge ourselves. But what can we do about that? We're in a situation where, yeah, we don't have to tell people how to do things. They're going to figure out by themselves. So how might we do that? How might we become engineering-driven camp, guided by goals and capable of adapting quickly in response to the needs of business and engineering activities? So we're in a situation where in the camp we have, for example, a team A who needs some sort of some help developing an Android feature, but they don't have the resource for. At the same time, there's a team B where Android resource is quite available, but it's very hard to go to the other team because they are not exactly doing the same practices. They're not using the same source base, not working on the same project. And it takes a lot of time to onboard, and it brings instability in the team. So we have a silo. We have silos inside the camp. But where we could remove that so that people could be not in fixed team where we try to fill a lot of projects inside, but instead, inside the camp, we see some activities and projects, and we know the priorities so that people can self-organize and pick up what's the most important and figure out where they need to be. That would be great. That would be great, we told ourselves. But isn't it something that someone already solved in the past? So we started looking around the internet and we found dynamic reteaming. This book was written by Heidi Elfand, and the very first sentence of the book is, whether you like it or not, your teams are going to change. So you'd probably better get good at it. And that was very mind-blowing for me. But remember the Scrum pattern, stable teams? It says, don't do that. You want to have predictability for your business. Don't change your teams. So what should we trust? This is a very conflicting situation. So I started reading Scrum Dynamic Reteaming. And that was very interesting in the sense that it explained that whether you want it or not, stable team is an ideal that you will never achieve. One people joining a team will create a totally different team and bring instability. And it takes time to reach out stability again. One people leaving will have the same impact. So dynamic reteaming really explains us what's happening, what are the dynamics, what is the life cycle of a team, and what are the strategies, the techniques that you can apply to your organization so that you can have dynamic reteaming without suffering from the impact of moving people around. And also teaches us about the anti-patterns that you would love to avoid. For example, a manager deciding to split a team because it looks too big, but looks too big doesn't mean something is wrong. So I told myself, okay, we already have a stable team. That's a camp. Let's forget about stable teams patterns and let's try to break those silos. And that's where comes FLAT.
Flexible agile team. So we started to draw a board, put people in the middle of the board. Say, okay, this is engineers, this is product managers, they're in the middle. And each side, we have one side is product, another side is engineering. Why? Okay, sometimes we have conflict between product and engineering. We want to push on new features, and at the same time we say, oh, we need to refactor this part. And how to decide the priority? Sometimes it's a bit complicated because business we say, no, this is the most important. And engineering we say, no, this is the most important. Okay, which one? So we decide this board with these two sides. What is important in this board is to have a priorities and to visualize all activities. And this is decided by the product manager head and engineering head of the camp. And after that, engineers, or everybody in the camp, team members, should measure the progress towards a goal for each activities. They can identify the needs. Maybe in the life cycle of an activity, you need an Android at the beginning, maybe 3 engineers. Okay, you have a lot of things to do. Probably in the middle, say, yeah, okay, we're getting better. Probably 2 people is enough. And most of the time, at the end, say, well, we just need 1 to finish what we need to do, but we need more front end because, yeah, we need to do some features on front end. And each people can self-assign on the activities they want. We design some artifacts, some roles, some events. You can see a lot of things. We did a manifesto. Okay, that's a good things. We have many, many things. JB, can you tell me a bit more about the flow?
So it doesn't change much comparing to working with Scrum. Actually, every small group of people or teams, if you want, were working in 2 weeks iterations. And they do their planning, they do their daily stand-up. We run a review and retrospective. But the differences with Scrum that we had were that the review was camp level, which means every group of people who are working on some activity came to the same event, and we showcased turn by turn what we have achieved during the past iterations so that we could share our progress and provide and receive feedback from each other. And we could also update the priorities, the business situation and priorities, so that we are able to reorganize how we are going to work in the next iteration. And we also wanted to have a retrospective camp-wide so that we could address higher level issues and challenges. What is not present in Scrum is the camp sync, and we use this as some sort of camp level product backlog refinement, where we identified any possible change in terms of priorities so that we could make it transparent to the rest of the members. And also, we wanted to have the opportunity for everyone to propose something new. I want to improve this part of the user experience, or I want to improve this process. I want to do it. So we would have people able to propose it and get it accepted and work on it. So we knew what we already had. We knew what we needed to do. We didn't have camp-wide retrospective, so we wanted to be able to do it. We didn't have this visualization of all activities in one place and the priorities. So we really wanted to focus on that because transparency was very critical for us. And we also knew that most of the activities didn't have proper release planning or some sort of visualization that we could use to understand whether this activity was healthy or needed some help. And we even identified anti-patterns. And in that case, we needed priorities to be clearly communicated and updated, very transparent. At the same time, we wanted to have some sort of health indicator with a activity backlog and release planning. And we also wanted to have visualize the needs. If an activity needs some sort of competency, but doesn't visualize it, we don't provide the opportunity for reteaming. And this is really something that we wanted to have. And on the other side of the spectrum, we didn't want to have a chaos situation where everyone goes randomly everywhere without thinking about what is going to be the best for the sake of the camp. So we know what we want to do. We know what we don't have. We know what we already have. We know what we want to avoid doing. We feel very ready. So we decided to bring this. We made a presentation and present it to the rest of the camp. How did it go, Antony?
Well, so our shiny idea, very cool, exciting. Okay, I want to propose something to all camp members. So I proposed, and I got a lot of feedback. Okay, leadership, they say, okay, why not? Could be interesting. Sometimes we're missing some skills on some project, so we're configuring the teams. Sounds interesting. Some engineers say, oh, okay, we don't buy it. We don't want it. Where is the stability of teams? Where is ownership? How you do it? Okay. Some other engineers said, well, it's exciting. I want to propose new things. I want to work on this. I want to work with these guys on this. It's really cool. Let's do it. And the last part of engineers say, they were more passive and say, okay, maybe it's improvement, but maybe it's a regression. Are you sure? So we failed. Okay, why we failed? Some point why we failed is big release. We were in the middle of the big release. It was last semester. Thanks to release for end of year. Now leadership say, oh, okay, you want to change, but you need to be careful. We still need to commit on this. We still need to deliver this. If you change everything, we won't be able to do this. Okay, first things. Second things, we did the anti-patterns. Okay, we defined a lot of anti-patterns, and we did almost all anti-patterns. So we missed the visualization. We went remote. Okay, try to some tools about how to visualize our activities. Yeah, not very satisfying. And we say, oh, maybe a physical board could be possible, but it was not possible at this time. We put too many details, really a lot of details. We try to imagine all interaction, all possibilities, what could happen. And of course, when you have many details, you have many questions and many feedback. So that we just grow and become bigger as a framework. We didn't have a clear step-by-step migration. How to change from our current situation to the next one. What we should do and the timeline about doing this. We were not really good at prioritizing our step-by-step. So yeah, didn't work well. And confusion. Okay, some people were ready. Oh, we want to do this. Some others was, no, we are not ready. We don't want to do it now. Maybe later, but we need to change something. And our communication was not clear enough. That brings a lot of confusion. Are we started this? Are we going to start it? So it was not very, very good. So JB, what we observed?
Yeah, we were keeping saying, we are moving to flat, we are moving to flat. And we didn't actually move to flat, at least officially, because some of the resistance, and we also, did over-design it. But flat failed, but not everything from flat failed. People were very interested by the idea of a proposal process that we were trying to inject into the camp sync. And everyone was like, this is a very cool idea. I want to propose this and that. I want to improve this part of the user experience because it's cool. And actually they did. They did adopt this proposal process for the camp sync. They changed the original camp sync structure in a structure where people were more invited to participate and propose new work. And actually, we didn't have to do anything about this. People just naturally picked up this nice part from FLAT and they introduced and adopted into their workflow. We also started teams to be more self-organized and more proactive on how they work. What is their process? What is their framework? We opened a Pandora box by saying we're getting away from Scrum and we are using FLAT. So people started saying, hey, we don't really need to be using Scrum, do we? How about we try Kanban? So a team decided to use Kanban and it was very effective for them. So we were able to liberate the structures. We also observed the team, which was big and working on 2 different activities that were not very correlated. So they looked at FLAT, they say, oh, we have the opportunity to only focus on the activity we're working on. Let's split. And they split it. They split it. They worked in smaller teams, focusing on one specific activity. They had less overhead working together. They were more efficient. And while we failed making this nice board, visualizing all the activities and the priorities with the camp, one thing that definitely happened is that everyone got to acknowledge that this level of transparency inside the camp is a key for us to succeed focusing on what's really important for us. So we had too many projects. We have too many projects. Okay, what's really important for us? Where do we need to focus? Before, it was Scrum Masters, camp heads, managers, Agile coach saying transparency is important. But it was not the case anymore. Everyone in the camp was like, okay, we need to be transparent. We need to visualize everything. So, yeah, we failed, but
we failed.
we failed.
Yeah, we failed. But some good things happened there. I would say the magic happened. Okay, we have more discussion. We have many more ideas, proposals, improvement, and each camp members became a change agent themselves. So they wanted to promote something, to change. And what we learned from there is just propose an idea can create a change in people's mindset or behavior. At the beginning, we wanted to change everything, but at the end, just to talk about this idea, everybody wanted to do something and say, okay, we need to improve. How we can do it? And they started propose things.
Don't make a huge framework, just talk together.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you very much for listening to us.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions? English or Japanese should be good.
Yeah, any language is welcome.
So I think everybody's sleeping.
Oh, I have a question.
One question.
So can I ask? Yeah, これ以上。So, じゃあ会場からお願いします。
Can I? I hope I can. I have one question, more like a point of clarification. I think I missed it. I missed some of your talk. So I got that you tried some new framework. You failed, unfortunately, but you've learned something. And did you say that you're still continuing using the framework, or what happened afterwards?
Okay, so we didn't officially adopt it as it was designed.
You did?
We did not.
Oh,
We did not
okay.
officially adopt FLAT,
Okay.
the entire thing, because we over-designed it. However, what happened is that people cherry-picked what was very interesting from it, and they adopted without even needing our support. So, yeah, we could say it's a failure in terms of designing a shiny, brand new framework, but it's probably a success into bringing discussions and new ideas in order to innovate and try to improve how we work together.
So basically, you didn't officially adopt it, but you sort of partially adopted it. And are you still using Scrum based?
Some parts of it were adopted
Okay, so based on
by
Scrum,
some people who were ready for that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, can I ask questions?
Please.
Okay, so when you tried to introduce the FLAT to the Mercury, then did you think that you need to get the agreement from all leadership members, or do you have an idea that when you decide to introduce the FLAT, I mean, how many agreements do you need? Did you think you need?
So first we tried on one camp. I mean, we didn't try to apply on our Mercury because people will kill us. So just one camp first. And second, our leadership is really committed to empower engineers, to empower every people. So we needed kind of two agreements, camp heads, product and engineering, say, okay, you can try. We can try to do something. First, let's present to other people, introduce the framework, get feedback, and that's all. We don't need top management agreement on this because we are really autonomous in a camp. No, that's all I think.
Yeah. But at the same time, if you are facing resistance from the camp members, you're not going to be able to bring a change. And we mentioned that we wanted to empower people in the camp. So we were not able to make a top-down decision and force the adoption of FLAT. It had to be embraced by the majority of the camp. It had to be a decision made by people in the camp. It was not a top-down decision.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you for your presentation. Seems like the trial was kind of failed, but some people who are ready for the change adopted some good things from you guys' planned. And my question is there any plan that you guys try again to adopt the things you guys are planning?
Yes. I mean, it's not the end. It's just, I would say, just a journey. So we're going to continue to say, okay, this doesn't work, but we're picking what is working. And we started to present it to other camp. Say, oh, in our camp, we're doing a proposal process. This is how it works. And we're starting to spread this information, hoping for other people who are interested to reach us. And we can have more discussion and find how we can improve it and transform how we work as a camp.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Any other questions?
Thank you so much for the nice presentation, and it was very impressive. I have some question. I would like to clarify what are the major differences from existing Agile framework like Scrum? Is it additional part and modified part? I was not, I was not able to identify what are the major changes.
The idea was really break the team silos. So we have multiple teams working together on some work which is related in the same domain for the entire product of Mercury. We didn't think that a famous large-scale framework would work. So we decided from the beginning to figure out how we can design ourselves something that will be valuable for us. So we didn't compare to, for example, Less or Nexus or Safe or whatever, or Scrum.
Yeah, may I ask you a question? Why you thought the existing scaled approaches do not work for Mercury?
Something I wanted to push to my members was flexibility. I didn't want something we pick, we try to do this in, as written in the book. I wanted something really fit to our needs, what we need, because each context are different in each organization. Something applied somewhere, maybe if you try to apply on your organization, it doesn't work well. So we had in mind the other framework and say, can it work? Okay, what we can do, our specific context, specific members, diversities, and we try to do something around this.
Yeah, this is the reason why you said read or right?
It's probably the or that's how we saw it, breaking the rules and breaking the stable teams rule, for example.
Okay. What are the next steps? You still have some problems, right?
I can't speak too much about the next step yet. We are still changing. I mean, just for the timeline, 2019, Scrum, 2020, Camp, 2020, during July, summer, flat things. Okay, now we are 2021, beginning of the year, and we still have some ideas about how to change, how to improve how we work. We got some learnings from this, and based on that, we want to find and to improve and what can really fit our needs. So this is still ongoing.
Okay, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. I think we're running out of time. Thank you very much for listening to us. Sorry, but if you have any question after that, we can reach us. We will be able to speak. Thank you.
Thank you.